This is an introductory video for parents for what to expect at least over the summer and over the course of the year for AP. Hopefully answer any questions you have and give you some information on what to expect. Just some background if I haven't met you yet. I am the assistant principal for academics, but I've been a social studies teacher for 17 years, and over the course of those, I have taught APUS for 12. It's undergone many changes, but it's a really fun and interesting course, which we've had a great deal of success with, both in student interest and student performance. So just some basics. This is billed as a college level introductory class. So something like a History 101 and 102 in most colleges. It is overseen by the College Board, so the College Board organization makes sure that the syllabus, the textbook we use, most of the supplementary in terms of primary sources, etc., meet their requirements. The exam is given by the College Board in early May here in school. It's May 11th this year, and then scores are released to students online in early July. We will go over how they access that, but it's in the same way that they access SAT, PSAT, those kinds of scores. One thing to keep in mind is that each college and university has its own policy for awarding credit based upon that exam performance. So some colleges will take 3, 4, 5, some may just take 4 or 5. So it's important when looking at colleges, if this is something that's your primary motivation from this class, to make sure that that is accepted. In terms of the day-to-day work of the class, I really wanted to emphasize that students can expect to have textbook reading daily. If they read ahead, that's great. They might not have it daily, but that's really the essential part for them to be doing at home. Taking notes and coming into class, having read and having those notes is essential. Then we can really jump in and do the things that are necessary in order to be successful, both in this class and really any history class to come. I will establish a routine early on. We come in, we'll have a short written response, a couple of minutes here and there, either to check on the previous night's reading, check on something that we're working on, look at a quick document, something like that. And then we will jump into some sort of activity. Most activities are created to try to help develop skills that are necessary. So if we can come in having the textbook read, having that basic understanding, we can jump in and get deeper, which is really what you'd want to do in a college level class. These are the skills that the College Board has emphasized in its most recent update to its syllabus for the framework for APUS history. The two practices are analyzing evidence and developing arguments. The analyzing evidence, most of them have some experience with, having done DBQs for a long time, and we'll be looking at additional things like bias when it's written, and often looking at opposed or opposing evidence and try to make sense of that. And really the big one is in developing arguments. This is something that takes a lot of work and a lot of practice, especially to develop an argument that can then be based on the evidence that is given or the evidence that is known. So that's what we'll be working on all year. And the skills that the College Board tests are, as you can see, they've narrowed it down to 4: causation, contextualization, comparison, continuity, and change over time. That's where we look at essays as the ability to demonstrate one of those skills. So like I said, most of our class time, if the students come in, they've read, they know the basics, then we can develop some of these skills that are required. I am a big user of information created by the Stanford History Education Group. They've come up with many interactive lessons in terms of looking at multiple documents and either looking for some sort of similarity, so that would be our comparison, or looking at how to corroborate documents that have different information. The girls in the past have really gotten involved in these. There's some debate, a little bit of argument, and that we can all continually tie it back to what do we know? What's the evidence? So again, it's really essential that we have the basics so that we can jump in and do these things. So since the exam is May 11th this year, and we are kind of at a disadvantage in this area of the country because we start school later than others, it's essential that we do get some work done over the summer. I've assigned work for periods, that's what the College Board calls them, or units 1 and 2, because really these units are not emphasized very heavily in the curriculum. There can be some multiple choice questions from these areas, although with the writing portions they show up as options, but they're just options. We can pick from other ones. So they're ideal to get this covered over the summer, have some work. We can work it in as we continue with period 3 when we start, but we really need to have this kind of under our belts and ready to go. So some of the work, if you haven't had a chance to look at Google Classroom, I know that some of you do have email addresses in there, so that will allow you to be a guardian and be able to see some of what's happening. That there's chapter readings. I'm asking them to experiment with different ways of taking notes. What works for them is fine with me. I don't have a set way that I want them to do it. I want them to find what's comfortable for them. I've also included a video, much like what I'm having you watch right now, that has me talking and covering some of the most important points of the chapters, just so I can make sure that they don't miss anything. And then some of those Stanford lessons that I spoke about a minute ago are included in there, where they do look at some, there's a fun one right in the beginning with Pocahontas, something to really grab their interest. So those are the things they should be working on over the summer. And just as a reminder that even though it is summer, I am here. I am in the building most of the summer. I did take off some time in July, a few days here and there, sprinkled throughout the rest of the summer, but I'm very available all throughout the summer. So if someone feels that she wants me to check her notes or wants to come in and talk about some things, email me. I'm happy to do so. We're here, and I can make arrangements for that. And also, I've already had some, but I check my email probably too much, as it says, and I will respond accordingly. In classroom, I did tell the girls, especially with their early chapter feedback, that I will be giving them tons. It may seem like too much. I just really want to make sure that they're developing a way to be focused and that we are interacting, because that's kind of the drawback of the summer work, is I don't get to see them. We don't get to have that interaction. So if they can make sure they're checking my comments when they come back, or when the papers come back to them, so that they really can make those improvements and kind of hit those points. As always, any questions, you can call me at school, you can email me, and I'd be happy to talk about anything. Happy summer!